Let's now take examples of compounds which, on which, not which, or for which, on which, yeah. Let's now take example in order to apply the aromaticity rules, if you like, or requirements. And remember, if you recall again, cyclic, conjugated, flat or planar, and 4n plus 2, the Huckel rule. If we take cyclobutadiene, it's a four-membered ring, of course. If you look at this molecule, you would find out that it is cyclic. Of course, there is no question about it. It is cyclic. Is it conjugated? Well, there is a p orbital obviously on each of these carbon atoms, because this is sp2. This carbon atom is sp2 hybridized. This is sp2 hybridized. That one is sp2 and that one is sp2, and therefore there is a p orbital on each of these carbon atoms. So it is conjugated. Is it flat? Well, it should be flat. It's a very simple molecule, very simple ring. It is flat or planar. Is it 4n plus 2? Well, the number of pi electrons here is actually 4. Of course, 2 here and 2 here. So there are 4 pi electrons. If it is 4 pi electrons, we need to check, of course, that this is in accordance with the Huckel rule. And if you recall, 0, if n is 0, of course, the 4n plus 2 is 2. If n is 1, 4n plus 2 is 6. So 4 is actually between, in between. So this cannot be aromatic. So in other words, this 4n plus 2 is not 4n, this 4 pi electrons is not 4n plus 2, and therefore cyclobutadiene is anti-aromatic because it has not obeyed the Huckel rule, despite the fact that it has fulfilled other requirements, such as the fact that it is cyclic, conjugated, and flat. Let's take naphthalene. This is naphthalene. That's the structure of naphthalene. Let's again check the requirements, the usual ones. Is it cyclic? Of course it is cyclic. Is it conjugated? It is conjugated. We can double check. If you look at atoms, carbon atoms on naphthalene, you would find out that all of them are actually sp2 hybridized. There is a p orbital on each of them, so there is cyclic conjugation on the naphthalene ring. Remember, there is a p orbital on each of them. Is it flat? Of course it is flat or planar. What we need to check next is the number of pi electrons, and of course there are 3, 4, 5 pi bonds in this case, and of course if it's 5, therefore there are 10 pi electrons. What we need to check, of course, is the 4n plus 2, the Huckel rule. If this 10 pi electrons is in accordance with the Huckel rule. Is it? Well, if n is 1, okay, it's 6. If n is 2, that's 2 times 4 plus 2, that is 10. So yes, 10 pi electrons is actually in accordance with 4n plus 2. That's if n equal to 2. So this is in accordance with the Huckel rule. So naphthalene has actually obeyed the Huckel rule. It satisfied all 4 requirements for aromaticity, and therefore naphthalene is aromatic. So this is an aromatic compound. Of course, that's because it has fulfilled all 4 requirements. So this is an example of an anti-aromatic compound, and that's a naphthalene, cyclobutadiene, of course, and naphthalene is another example, or an example of an aromatic compound.